Hey guys, welcome back to Stradani Civil War with ChillBuilder in Fromthedepths. Today we're marshaling our forces, getting ready to invade the Last Legion as part of this custom campaign. Right now we're 5.5 hours into the game. We have conquered the Spendenheim Raiders completely and taken over all of their resource zones. We have consolidated our forces and gathered all of our armed forces into this area. Soon enough, we'll be streaming over the border with all of our reconnaissance units, and then we prepare some resource units as well to getting ready to take over their resource zones. So I'm just having a look. Right now we have about almost 2 million materials in blocks, and the Last Legion have almost 5 million. So just about twice the size of us. So it should be a fair fight. Okay, our scouts have revealed that the Last Legion have 3 resource zones within visible range, or rather very rapid striking range, and 2 fortresses. Okay, this is our first battle against the Last Legion. We have brought overwhelming force to this battle. We have a single missile rocketeer knight, standard from before. We did lose a gun knight in the last episode of the campaign, unfortunately. The Last Legion seems to have brought a single Coast Guard type warship, which is very weak. But they have some hefty military installations here. A lot of armaments, especially this one, this tower. It's a very nice build. We have some new units ourselves. Here we can see the close quarter combat variant of the Fusiliers. In the old Fusilier, we have added propellers to its shoulders just to help with lift. And we converted our fighters to the defense variant for anti-aircraft specialization. Here we can see the close quarter Fusilier in action. Is about to hit this turret with his spear. It's quite the damage. And it's got a handheld flamethrower, which has dubious effectiveness. The enemy does have a few APS turrets, and there's kind of small cram cannons spread out everywhere, so we do end up taking quite a bit of damage on the close range Fusilier, but it is kind of soaking up the damage on behalf of the fleet from all these other enemies. So what we do see is we're kind of sacrificing health on one unit in order to protect the rest of the fleet, and it is quite effective. I mean, this is not the most expensive unit ever, so I think it's acceptable level of damage. And now is struggling a little bit on this difficult terrain. It's quite uneven ground, and it's bumping left and right into these structures. I think soon enough I'll take it out of the battle, just in the interest of not taking too much damage and losing the unit altogether. Do you want to give it a more close range kind of combat behavior? So I given the Fusiliers a backup propeller engine just to help them stay in the air. This pop-out is mostly a lure dump. So after the last battle against the Last Legion outpost, we have spawned a small fleet of patrol ships, or they call it the scouting fleet. Here we can see the Argo, which is a small patrol ship or a light frigate armed it looks to be a glass cannon unit armed with missile and APS firepower, although now it does look like it's carrying a lot of torpedoes, which will matter to us. It's got pretty well decorated interior, and with it there are two of these electro patrol boats or river monitors that they really look like. So in this battle I only sent 3 vanguards. Again, these are the defense variant, which specialize in anti-air, but since these patrol boats are covered with metal, the small missiles they're designed for a dedicated anti-air role. Kind of overtuned a little bit, are kind of struggling against these ships, especially as you can see this gun doesn't seem to be doing a lot of damage to our aircraft, but it has a dual purpose. See, it appears to be a timed heat gun, which is incredibly weak but good at intercepting missiles. And then I was stupid enough to not include one of those generator spy planes to provide cannon energy for the particle cannons on these aircraft. So it was incredibly annoying to dismember this fleet with just a light aircraft. When others saying the small patrol boats seem to bob up and down a lot in the water, which kind of throws off missile targeting and any other kind of targeting system we have on these light aircraft, which was incredibly annoying. But in the end, we got everything to despawn by sinking them. Okay, here we have another siege battle just began, and we have the standard medium mech force versus some pretty heavy defense installations. And let's see if we can hit it with our spear. Okay, that's not too bad. Hopefully we don't take too much damage on our CQB mech. Okay, here we have 3 mechs against the Legion's Brassard, which is a fairly well-balanced airship. Just looking at the stats. So let's see how. Okay, so they vaporized one of our direct input drones in their first volley. It's pretty funny. But we have destroyed 2 of their guns. We have landed some good missile hits. And our close quarter mech suffers some major collision damage, but it's still airborne for a little bit, I guess. Maybe it's best to pull it out of combat. Let's see if we can. Okay, it's going after the airship and spraying fire. Maybe we can get revenge, actually. No, looks like we don't need to. Airship is top of the sky. Or maybe not. It's certainly... Oh. Let's see. It has almost 2/3 of this, but once again, that's hard to tell. Okay, that's a good missile hit. In this battle, we're doing something a bit funny. We got one of our mech lancers going up against something that's somewhat close range. The Pith Ferry. Jesus Christ. Heavy destroyer or like cruiser. Hard to tell. And we have a few different behavior that we can choose for our mech centaur. We chose the closing ramming option. So you can see the unit is capable of galloping. It has a galloping animation. and then it will go up to this heavy destroyer. Yeah. It appears to be a heavy missile, or heavily focused on missile, kind of a hovercraft looking unit. Yeah, it's got those Russian style missile launchers on the side. It's a very nice little unit with lots of walkability, interior decoration stuff going on. And now our centaur is charging in. Hopefully I've given it enough missile interceptors, although it certainly doesn't look like it's enough. Now both of the nuke spears are deployed. We fire the first round of the cannons. I kind of shredded the ship, softening it up for the assault. And yeah, despite my best, there's a little bit of jankiness with the tractor beam that kind of make the animation not look super smooth. And now we got our second nuke spear. Great. Let's have a look at this ship. Wow. That's incredible. It's hanging on by a single beam. Or two alloy beams, rather. And now I stupidly given it the command to hold distance and run broadside around the target, but that did expose the back of the mech. Here we have the Battle of Nova Karina. The enemy, which is the last legion, they have some quite interesting units here. This is one of their bases for these patrol ships. It's got very nice design, very kind of a CNC looking. Let's see if there are any internals. No. So it's mostly based off cram cannons. And the terrain here is very interesting as well. It's got like a little bay with fortifications on either side, enclosing the middle, with lots of small turrets and one of these annoying ships that gave us our fighter craft quite a bit of trouble earlier. And over here they have some very, very minor fortifications. Okay, that appears to be one building that's got some long-range missiles. Hopefully nothing our missile defenses cannot handle. We'll just let our mechs act according to standard behavior. Here's a lighthouse. Really? This is a beacon that we have to destroy? Okay, we have the melee unit coming very strong against Crane. And it's very dead. Here we engage in combat against the fortified Last Legion Harbor with 3 of our mechs and a support fleet of Vanguard fighters. As you can see, the close quarter mech does have a charged railgun that fires timed HE shells, which is quite devastating against these tanks. It's got a handheld flamethrower, which has dubious value in combat against metal targets, but it's quite nice to look at least. It does seem to be struck by some kind of enemy fire at that point. Here, one of our Fusiliers does seem to have lost a leg, but also did not affect his combat performance very much. This is a loaded gantry of Last Legion base. It's pretty well modeled RTS style unit. Does not seem to have a lot of interior decorations like the Spanish Raider Pirates. Okay, this message is a little bit hard to understand, but when I took a look at the map later, they spawned 2 new enemy fleets in the Spanaheim Raiders territory, which are pirate fleets. So effectively, the pirates are attacking us from our back lines. Just doing an overview of the map, here you see the Narum Archipelago is where we fought that base just a moment ago, and here we have the 2 of Blunderbuss's uprising fleets. One of the fleets is composed of large warships of around 200k, which are kind of destroyer class vessels, and on the right here, they got some fleet of small units. And luckily we have been constructing some larger craft in our own base that we're able to redirect and respond to these threats. This is one of the first battles involving our Almighty class Gun Apostle mech. Yes, Gun Apostle is a class of mech that is called. We're engaged against about 500,000 materials worth of enemy units that was spawned as a retaliation fleet after we took out one of the channel side fortifications. Okay, it does appear that we have sunk the airship in our first volley. I did have an unsuccessful battle earlier with this mech that I had to rerun. It does have 2 different range settings for engaging the target, and in the first try we backed off too fast and hit its own energy generator frame and destroyed it, which is very much unsatisfactory waste of resources. So now I'm retrying the battle, giving it the close range command. So that was kind of a 200 to 300k airship. This mech itself costs about 700,000 materials, so it's about equivalent in combat power to the Cobalt from the Niter campaign. Here is one of the last Legion's smaller destroyers, and it's hit by the time frag diff array, and now that's despawning. And actually I think what we destroy is a light frigate, and now we're turning around to look at the heavy frigate. You can see the arms moving, the hands coming up. It's firing the disruptor cannons, and you can see the head turning to track the target. And it's quite a smaller ship. I don't think it'll survive for too long. Here we got a pretty funny battle. This is a pretty cheap patrol ship, 70,000 materials, called the Precursor. It's blockading one of our satellites when I wasn't being careful, and now it's been charged down by the Lancer, which has come the closest unit that's able to respond. Lancer is a class of mech, and the name of the mech is Atrocity, as you can see. So now we got a victim's eye view of the charging Centaur. Let's have a look. Again, the tractor beams are a bit wonky, just to not have a smooth animation. And it's putting up a decent fight by not dying to the frag runs. But I don't think it'll survive 2 nuclear strikes. Yeah, using the Lancer against this is quite the overkill, but at least it's fun, and we're not taking too much damage on the Lancer. So we will be able to reuse it for close by encounters without too much repair. We're definitely seeing a lot of new units, or rather new mechs, in today's episode. This is one of the older Peltasts fighting against the Blunderbuss's uprising fleets. I think this is one of the smaller fleets that we're targeting, and you can see from above we have the targeting laser from our Dragoon space mech. The Dragoon coming up to it just now. It is kind of a mech spaceship hybrid, has targeting lasers coming out of its eyes and is escorted by two smaller mechs. Its primary armament are plasma cannons and sabot cannons. So not the best weapon against wooden hull ships, but I guess it's okay. These are two space Peltasts, and they're designed to be flanker complements to the Dragoon. In terms of like flanking and getting up close to other space enemies that the Dragoon might face. So in terms of orbital bombardment, they're not the most effective unit. This is the most unfortunate battle against Blunderbuss's uprising fleet, the one composed of larger ships. We're unable to spawn in everything at once, just due to kind of a performance consideration, but we're engaging them with our Space Dragoon. Unfortunately, it took a little bit of a tumble at the beginning of the combat. I'm not exactly sure why, as I tested the AI quite a bit, but as you can see, this craft does have enough propulsive power to bring itself back up into space, which kind of was a giant waste of time to do, but luckily the enemy do not have very good long-range weapons that could damage us while we waste our time doing this. And now, finally up into space, is able to reorient itself. During this whole process, I think the space troopers, the Peltasts, once again collided with each other, and yeah, that's a loss, but they weren't doing too much to begin with, so I decided to not rebuild them. This whole combat is a bit annoying, because we didn't have any spectacular hits on the enemy. Instead, we just sunk the ships instead by poking enough holes through them. I'm not sure why wooden ships would sink so readily, but I guess that's just the way they're built. Unfortunately, this poor Peltast here is taking up all the missile damage that these pirate destroyers are able to throw out, and these ships cost about 200k, right? And our Peltast cost about 70k material. So even though the Peltast does have enough missile defense to protect itself, does not have the capability to stop all those missiles coming out here. So now we have the final battle of the episode. It's a bit of a funny one since the enemy spawned one of those fast-moving airships, which is not an insignificant threat, but it's around like 100k materials, whereas it's engaged by a 500k material mech, and it's a bit of a Seal Kobe moment, as you can see. The wrecking put feed guns instantly vaporize half the ship, and now it's just falling into the water. I do love the sound of plasma repeaters firing though. It's very satisfying. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye.